Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to do a reaction of the Marvel Netflix shows, which I've recently just finished watching. So that is Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, The Defenders, and The Punisher. I have Grace joining me today, and Grace has seen which shows?
Jessica Jones and the season 1 of Daredevil.
So she'll be chipping in for that, and then I'll just go through the rest as well. Okay, so basically why I decided to watch, so I started off watching Daredevil because there was that whole rumor that Daredevil's going to appear in Spider-Man No Way Home. So I was like, I should probably watch it. And then after I watched Daredevil, I was like, I should watch the rest because I found out that Daredevil's in the Defenders, and I was like, oh, I gotta watch the rest, I want to find out what happened. And so it's literally been such a roller coaster, such a journey, and I've loved it. So here's our reaction. Okay, first up is Daredevil. So this is actually my favorite show out of all of them. So what it's about, if you haven't watched it yet, it's about a blind lawyer by day called Matt, and then a vigilante by night called Daredevil. And so Matt and Daredevil are the same person, protect Hell's Kitchen in New York by fighting crime. So we're going to start off with season 1. So season 1 sees Matt, aka Daredevil, fighting crime at night on the streets of New York City's Hell's Kitchen neighborhood while uncovering a conspiracy of the criminal underworld being led by Wilson Fisk. So that's season 1. So already season 1, I remember just watching the first episode and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. I was like, why haven't I seen it any sooner? But yeah, there were a few scenes in season 1 that I really liked. So episode 2, the hallway fight scene. So when Matt actually tries to rescue the little boy that was kidnapped, and he does this like while being injured, and it's actually such a good fight scene. And I have to say, probably one of the best from season 1. Like it was so cool. He was injured. What I like is that we see this from especially the Punisher, but we see that no matter how injured these people are, they just keep going. I'm like, if that was me, I would have stopped. But then I think the second best scene was when Matt actually wore his Daredevil suit for the first time. That was episode 13. So we see Matt is wearing that Daredevil suit, and he's wearing it during his fight against Fisk, which actually I think was like a perfect end to the season.
I agree. My favorite scene was like he was up against this it was a long time ago, but it was up against this ninja with this swing knife.
Nobu.
Yeah, and it was just really kind of like entertaining and such intense feeling for Matt, because I know, and because he was getting hurt like a lot, getting cuts and scars across his body. But the ending, when it comes in flames, I was like, yes. It was really good. I think that was like one of my favorite fights in the show, along with the final fight as well. And well, it was just really interesting, because it's kind of like what I first like about it, it's like, when you say it's like a rip-off of Batman, but it's like day he's fighting for like justice in court, by day he's up against criminals, and by night. And what another thing I do like is like in these MCU shows is they do take a much more darker turn than they do in the films, and that's why I think people like it a lot more, because they talk about like something on serious stuff that happens in life. Like Matt is blind, but he's also trying to go up against like his own personal demons and like cruel people in the world, and I think people can relate to that in a way. But I think that's what I kind of enjoy in Daredevil.
So then season 2 is basically Matt tries to balance his life as a lawyer and Daredevil while meeting Frank Castle, who's also known as the Punisher, and with the return of his ex-girlfriend, Elektra. So again, another awesome season. We get loads of new characters. We get Frank Castle, we get Elektra, we get to see a bit more Stick. Honestly, such a good season. So 2 favorite scenes. So it's that scene where the Punisher and Daredevil versus the Irish mob. So that's episode 4. that's when Frank was kidnapped by Kitchen Irish. So they were hoping that he would return the money that he stole. And then we get that fight scene between the Punisher and the Irish mob. And then Daredevil joins, and we get to see Frank Castle and Daredevil teaming up together to take down the Irish mob. And honestly, such a good scene, because you can see Frank Castle is like literally being tortured and everything, and he keeps going. Honestly, I don't know what is with Frank Castle, but he can just keep going. And then Daredevil joins the fight out of nowhere, and you're like, woo! Like, you know, you're like screaming. I mean, I was screaming. I don't know about anybody else, but I was screaming. And then the second best scene was episode 8, where we see Stick joining the fight. So the ninjas from the Hand attack Daredevil and Elektra in an abandoned building, which we learn about a bit more what that abandoned building is and or what it basically what the whole was. And we see the end of in the Defenders. But then, and you know, hope is lost, and you know they're struggling to fight against these ninjas. And then all of a sudden, Stick appears out of nowhere, and he like literally he kills literally all the ninjas, and it's honestly such an awesome fight. Honestly, what I like is we see different types of fights. So Daredevils and Iron Fist's fight are quite kind of similar, and then we get the Punisher who uses his guns, uses weapons. And then we see Jessica Jones, who honestly just uses her fists for everything. And then we see Luke Cage just using his fists as well. So yeah. Sorry, you can probably tell how excited I am just by reliving it. It was honestly so good. And then season 3, honestly, I thought, you know, usually, you know, you'd think that season 1 and then it'll go bad, and then it'll go to season 2 and it'll get even worse. But honestly, it went like this for me, or even like that, or honestly, it never went down. It was honestly all 3 seasons were brilliant. So season 3 sees Wilson Fisk, aka Kingpin, is actually released from prison, and Matt has to decide whether to hide Daredevil from the world or embrace him and live a life as a vigilante. So honestly, the 3 good scenes. I think the last one is my all-time best. Well, 3. So the first one is when Maggie actually reveals that she's Daredevil's mother. So that's episode 8, because I honestly didn't see it coming. I don't know if anybody else saw it coming, but I did not see it coming. So we see Maggie prays for Matt, and Matt hears her say, "Our son is too much like you, Jack." And then we can see how blown away Matt is. Like, he honestly nearly collapsed to the floor. He's in so much shock. Honestly, I have to say, the acting was brilliant. And then the church scene, episode 10. So Dex, so he's actually dressed up in the Daredevil suit, comes after Karen. And then Matt appears in his black mask, the same look that we got from season 1. And he tries to stop him. And then Dex kills Father Lantern in the whole fight scene. And then yeah, I mean that whole fight scene between, you know, we see Daredevil from, you know, his season 1 look, and then we get to see Daredevil, but not really Daredevil, Dex fighting against each other. That was a really good fight scene between them two. And also, I'm actually really sad when Father Lantern died, especially when he whispered. He was like, "Forgive me." Oh, it was so sad. Honestly, I think I might have even cried a little bit.
Oh
No, but then this is honestly, this is the best scene out of the whole show. So it's that Fisk versus Dex versus Daredevil, and that Daredevil being Matt. So that's episode 13. So this is when we get to see Daredevil struggle once again. Should he kill or should he not? Because he's thinking, should I kill Wilson Fisk? Because that would end all the troubles. But then he's like, should I not? Because, you know, he thinks that what is it called?
he's got like a moral compass. He's got one code not to kill. Because if he kills, he's kind of like makes him like the villains he's fighting against.
Yeah. He's like thinking, should the system, that's what I was thinking of, should the system be able to take care of it or not? And then we get that epic fight scene, of course, with both of them like sort of like teaming up against Wilson, and then both of them teaming up against Dex, and honestly, just so much fight. And honestly, I've watched that scene so many times since then, and we get that best quote as well. Honestly, that last part. So I'll read it out. Obviously, I can't put the same emphasis, but we'll try. This is what Wilson Fisk says. "Come on, kill me. And then Daredevil goes, no, God knows I want to, but you don't get to destroy who I am. You will go back to prison and you will live the rest of your miserable life in a cage, knowing you'll never have Vanessa, that this city rejected you. It beat you. I beat you. Honestly, such a good line. I don't know. That was, honestly, out of all of the shows, that's like the best line ever.
It
But
just
yeah,
brings
Daredevil.
thrills to everyone, like even you when or everyone, because you just hear that, you hear how frustrated Matt is. Like you said, sorry, when he was trying to decide to kill like Kingpin or not, he was so angry, but he was so like confident, and he just made up his mind, knowing like, or after all the blood or the sweat, he decided to not kill and just continue with the system. It was just so intense, so God, so irritating, but it was so great at the same time.
Yeah, honestly, Daredevil is like my favorite Netflix show. One of my favorite Marvel characters now, and I'm dying to see him in No Way Home. If hopefully he does come.
I'm hoping he might turn up in She-Hulk as well. Thinking he and the She-Hulk, who, if people don't know, she was a lawyer in the comics. Maybe they might work together. Who knows?
Yeah. And
great.
then also with the rumors that Wilson Fisk is also going to be getting his own show. Like, this is brilliant. This is honestly Fisk and Daredevil. Can't wait. Next up is Jessica Jones, which both of us have seen. So the plot is, following her brief career as a superhero with remarkable abilities, Jessica Jones tries to rebuild her life as a private investigator by opening her own detective agency, Alias Investigations, dealing with cases. Okay, so season 1 sees actually basically kind of what I've just said. And so she tries to rebuild her life after escaping the clutches of a mind-controlling villain, Kilgrave. And then we see that a case that Jessica gets to find a missing girl with hints of being mind-controlled puts her back in the path of Kilgrave again. Honestly, I have to say, season 1 was the best season in this whole show. It was so good. Kilgrave is just such a creepy villain, but he's also so good.
To me, he's kind of like the best evil villains I've known so far. You just can't get him out of your head. He just goes underneath your skin no matter what. He just says one word and you're all his. It's just, he's like the perfect villain for like a good superhero, like best like forces come together. It was breathtaking. Like, especially he's played by my favorite Doctor Who actor, David Tennant, who does really well as a character. Like, because I think with that, he used like a British voice in this, doesn't he? And it's just, I don't know, it just makes it more intense, more eerie in this show.
Favorite scene. I mean, honestly, this whole show, like, I was feeling like, should I feel bad for Kilgrave? Should I or not? It was a whole thing. But anyway, my favorite scene was the one where he actually controls the whole police department. So that's episode 7. So it's when he controls every single person inside of the station, and he actually declares his love for Jessica because she was the first person to resist him. I mean, it kind of just shows how creepy it is, but also just how powerful. Like, he controlled every single person, and they were all, they had like, some had a gun to their head, or like, honestly, such a good scene. Yeah.
I would say for my favorite scene is when that musical stage where Jessica Jones finds him, but then big twist, spoiler alert, Luke Cage comes in, is mind controlled by Kilgrave, and there's this big battle because Jessica and Luke, they were like in a romantic relationship, or were in a way, but it was just so hard because she was trying not to hurt him, but he's unbreakable. He can't help it. He's gonna break her, and it was just so intense. Oh, I felt really bad because I knew that Jessica didn't want to hurt him or trying to like kill him, but it was outstanding, like how it's all set, especially because we know every time we see Kilgrave, there's always like this purple light or like this purple color in like the show. So like in the stage, you just see that it's bad. It's all part of Kilgrave's plan, and we just know this is just gonna end bad as always. And I think that's why I kind of like it, because we know like Jessica is in a bad situation because of Kilgrave, and she's trying to get herself out.
Yeah, that was a really good scene. Yeah, that was, yeah. Oh gosh, it brings back memories. It seems like so long ago since I watched this, but it wasn't even that long ago. It was just last month. Anyway, I'll move on to season 2. So Jessica attempts to put her life back together after murdering Kilgrave. Spoiler alert. Now known as a superpowered killer, a new case makes her find out more about her past and what happened to her. So I have to say, starting this season of the show, I was kind of like really hyped for it, but I have to say, Kilgrave was just such a good villain, and they killed him. I don't want to say too quickly because it wasn't too quickly, but for me it was really too quickly. I would have liked to see more of him. But anyway, saying that, it was a good season. Not that it was bad, but it can never, for me, live up to season 1, and that's saying the same for season 3 as well. But my favorite scene had to be that part where she and her mother, Alyssa, save a family from the car accidents. That's episode 13. So they're trying to escape, and her mum literally just jumps out of the car and she goes straight to save the family, and then she tries to save the guy and basically like risking her own life because it was about to explode. And then it just goes to show that the whole show we were thinking, well, I know I was anyway, I was thinking just like, Alyssa was just a horrible person. I mean, not that it was her fault, but
She
she was
a bit
honestly
mental in a way.
sorry.
She was a bit mental, like when we first
Yeah,
see her.
yeah, but it also just shows that there was actually a good side to her, and it wasn't her fault that she actually was crazy and that she was a killer. It was all those experiments that made her actually into that superpowered person that actually made her into that bad person. But it just kind of just shows, that there's actually more to someone than what you could see. Honestly, it was a really good scene.
That was a nice scene, like to see, because during that scene, it kind of reflects Jessica back to how her family came apart during her car crash that killed
Yeah.
her father and brother. Another scene that I liked, but it was also the most shocking scene ever, was that last scene when she and her mom was on the Ferris wheel.
Don't,
I know,
don't,
I know.
don't.
This was so horrible. When I feel like they were actually connecting, bang, shot in the head, and who was a shooter was none other than Trish. I was like, holy shoot! I couldn't believe it. I mean, in this, we understood how like Trish was kind of like trying to be like Jessica, like as the hero, but the way she said like she was trying to protect Jessica, I was like, no, that was way too far. That was out of line. You had no right to do that. Oh, but it just got me so hard because Jessica and Trish, they were so close in like the first season, and now it's tearing apart like the relationship. Trish is trying to be good, but she's trying to do it in her own way, and she's trying to live up to Jessica. But what she did at the end not not brilliant for us or for Jessica. And when Jessica, I feel like you could just see in her eyes that she was going to kill Trish for what she did. Like you could see the anger, the sadness, and I felt for Jessica. Like I actually felt for her. Like she lost her mum once when she was young, and she just lost her again. I mean, anyone who experienced that moment again just probably should have like a meltdown. Oh, it was heartbreaking.
Honestly, I really liked Trish before that moment, and then when that happened, and then season 3, honestly, a bit of a roller coaster. But moving on to season 3. So Jessica actually reluctantly teams up with Trish, who now has abilities of her own, to take down a serial killer until a devastating loss reveals that they both have different morals and ethics, which puts them against each other. Honestly, I have to say, this one actually wasn't a bad season. It wasn't as good as season 1, but it wasn't a bad season. We get to see a lot of tension between Jessica and Trish, and then we get to see Malcolm come in, we get to see Jerry, and there's a lot going on in this whole season, and I kind of felt there was maybe it could have been pushed to a few more episodes, because I would have liked to seen a bit more of different stuff. But the last episode 13, that fight between Jessica and Trish, such a good scene. So actually throughout this whole show, we see that, there's that sisterly bond between Trish and Jessica. They both have each other's backs, they both love each other, they both are bonded together, and we see this relationship turn to the point where Trish is actually willing to kill Jessica in order to save herself and continue on her mission to kill people, which is honestly so heartbreaking, because I thought they were perfect sisters, and then we get to season 2's end, and then season 3. And then you can see that Jessica actually doesn't want to hurt Trish. She just wants to take her in because she knows it's the right thing to do. And you can actually see, Jessica doesn't even fight her. She just puts her hand up, to protect herself, and that's what Trish stabs her through. And honestly, she had no option other than to protect herself, and she, at the same time, she didn't even,
I think that's definitely one of my favorite scenes too. And I was just thinking that entire season, it kind of tells the audience what does it mean to be a hero. For Jessica, she has superpowers, but we see in the first season, she's not really interested in being a superhero, an avenger or anyone. Trish, on the other hand, is inspired by Jessica and wants to be someone like her. So when she does get her powers, she trains, and we see how far Trish will go to become someone like Jessica. But that kind of on asks the questions if you have so much power, does that mean you have the right to go and fight crime? Because we see in Spider-Man in the original films, he has power, he goes out and in New York City and try to save lives. But no one say he has a right to do that. What gives him the right? And that's the same for Jessica Jones season 3. Just thinks she has a right to fight and beat up bad guys, while Jessica is trying to follow the system of taking them in and bringing them to jail. It just kind of, it hits you a bit thinking about who's right and who's wrong, because Trish would do anything, and at the end you kind of feel sorry for her, especially since when her mother died, that was heartbreaking. I wasn't expecting that, and you kind of feel Trish does deserve some justice, but she's taking things in her own hand and she's going on a rampage, and that kind of takes her down to a darker path. And for me, that's what I kind of like about Jessica Jones. As much as I really do like Daredevil, I also like Jessica Jones, because when I first saw it, I kind of like how it was more, again, relatable to life. Jessica was suffering from PTSD, and there was a bit of rape and killing happening, and people kind of experience that and trying to see how it's a dark moment for everyone, but how people are trying to involve how to fix it. And for season 3, I think this is about when, if someone's murdered, you have to think about, someone you love is killed, you have to think about what you need to do, in order trying to keep it in the system, try to get them in jail and not try to take revenge, if that makes sense.
Okay, on to Luke Cage. I didn't know what to expect. I first saw Luke Cage pop up in Jessica Jones, and we don't really understand a lot. We get to know about his powers and stuff. We don't actually get to know more about Luke Cage himself. We really do see that in Luke Cage, the TV show. So the plot is a former wrongfully committed convict with superhuman strength and unbreakable skin, fights crime in Harlem, New York. I thought I wouldn't like this. I don't know. I watched the first episode and I remember thinking, oh no. And I watched episode 2 and I was like, oh my god, no, sorry. It just took a little time to pick up, I think. But I think it was necessary to actually set the scene for that whole season. But yeah, season 1 was really good. Season 2 was my favorite. It was really good. But season 1, we see that Luke Cage is a fugitive attempting to rebuild his life in Harlem, New York City. But he soon must confront his past and fight a battle for all of Harlem. So we actually see quite a lot of villains pop up, and then we see villains die, and then, there's honestly so much happens in every single episode. But my favorite scene was the speech at Pop's funeral. So that kind of speech fight between Luke and Cottonmouth. So that's episode 5. So we can actually see how different both of them are, So there's a lot of people that have gathered around for Pop's funeral because he's such a center, and he's touched so many people. So there's tons of people. And so we see that Cottonmouth regrets that his associate actually killed Pop. And we actually see that Luke actually regrets that maybe the bullet that killed Pop might have bounced from his back and pierced Pop. So we get to see that, both of them they both have their regrets, But I have to say, but both of them have their own morals and stuff, and we really do see that about Cottonmouth. And then at the funeral, actually, we see that when they actually declare war on each other while actually trying to make this speech to make it sound as if, they're saying something nice about Pop, but actually it's sort of like a battle kind of speech. But yeah, it was really good. I wish we had seen more of Cottonmouth. I feel like he died way too soon. I wasn't expecting him to die so soon, but honestly, yeah, it was a really good season. But season 2 was my favorite. So season 2 is Luke Cage has become Harlem's hero and celebrity after clearing his name. So he's not a convict anymore. But now he has to face a new threat, Bushmaster, and returning threat, Mariah and her crew. I honestly really like Bushmaster. I was sort of rooting for him for some of it, which sounds really bad, but I could really understand his course. And I feel like I don't want to say he had a legit reason because that kind of just sounds bad, but I really did sympathize with him, especially that part where Mariah and her crew burn all of his family and his friends in the restaurant. Not burn, sorry, kill and then burn his uncle, but which was honestly a very gruesome scene. But yeah, I really do feel for Bushmaster, and a lot of the scenes I was thinking, no, you got to let Bushmaster, just kill Mariah. She deserves to be killed. I know this is so bad to say, but she honestly didn't deserve to die. But that final scene, sorry, not that final scene, that final fight between Luke Cage, Misty, and Shays versus Bushmaster. So that's episode 12. So you can actually see that Bushmaster is actually much more stronger because he's just injected himself, and you can see the struggle that they all have to take down Bushmaster. And at that same time, I was just thinking, just let him kill Mariah. She deserves to die. After all she's done, she's killed innocent people. Her family have done so much horrible stuff to Bushmaster's family. I feel like she deserved it. I mean, saying that, at the beginning when Bushmaster was attacking Stokes' family, I was like, no, she didn't have anything to do with it. She didn't even know. But later on, we see how Mariah deals with the threat. We see actually she doesn't care, But yeah. Oh. What I actually really also liked about this whole show was the music. There was so much music, and the music was really good. It really did bring it to life. At the beginning, I was like, it's a bit weird, but actually, you see how much music plays a really big central part in the show. So yeah. And saying that, sorry, I this is a bit out of subject, but Disney, get in touch because I have found your live action Tiana. Misty is such. I honestly think that she would play a really good Tiana. And I've also found your live action Rapunzel, Trish from Jessica Jones. I feel like they'd be so perfect. I know we went out a bit out of subject there, but honestly, all I could picture when sometimes seeing their scenes was like, oh my god, she'd be so good as Tiana. She just has that same spunk, you know? But yeah, sorry. Okay, so next up is Iron Fist. Now, I know a lot of people have actually said how much I've read it quite a lot of comments and reviews and stuff that Iron Fist was actually not so good, and I have to say, out of all of the shows, it's my least liked. But saying that, it is a really central show, especially if you're going to watch The Defenders, because you really do see how important Danny is in the whole scheme of things. So the plot is that Danny Rand returns to New York City with incredible martial arts skills, and as the Iron Fist, he has to try and find his identity as either Danny Rand or as the Iron Fist. I have to say, I'm sorry, this again a little bit out of what I was going to say, but the intros for all of the shows, I have to say the intro music for Iron Fist was really nice. I have to say, I really liked it. Yeah. Anyway, I normally I skip it, but for Iron Fist, I literally let it just play through the whole thing because it was just so nice. Anyway, so season 1. So after being presumed dead for 15 years, Danny Rand tries to reconnect with his past and to reclaim his company from the Meachams. When a threat emerges, Rand must choose between his family's legacy or his duties as the Iron Fist. So actually, to be honest, the whole of Iron Fist is basically seeing Danny, you know, struggle to control both parts of his life. So his life as actually Danny Rand, who's actually just returned, and no one can believe that he's back because they all thought he died. But also as the Iron Fist, which has a really important role for the Hand and for all of Kunlun. So yeah, and also we kind of see Danny. He's kind of like a child in a sense. He's I'm not saying that he hasn't grown up, but he kind of just comes across as being quite naive sometimes and not really understanding that the world has actually moved on. That he's been gone for so long that why would anybody really believe him that that's him? Because, you know, the Meachams actually, when they first see, when he first goes into the office and he goes, "I'm back," they're like, "Sorry, who? Who are you?" Like, they don't believe him. And I have to say, well, see if I'd be the same. But best scene was episode 9, when we actually see that Danny is healing Colleen. So I honestly thought that the Iron Fist was just a weapon, but you can actually see there's so much more to the Iron Fist than just as a weapon. You can actually use it to heal people as well. So you can see that when he actually heals Colleen, but he doesn't know that. There's so much that he doesn't know, and he actually learns from Bakuto how to do that. So I think it just goes to show that, you know, hopefully if we were to see the Iron Fist more later on, maybe popping up in an MCU movie or a show or something, we'd hopefully see more of what the Iron Fist is, because I feel like in the whole show, I feel like we didn't really see much of what the powers were. It briefly touched on the healing, and you know, you can use the fist, you know, punch up stuff and whatever. But I feel like there was probably a lot more that we didn't know, which I think might have been one of its downfalls. I feel like the pace might have been a bit too slow. Season 2, we see Danny Rand faces a new familiar threat and has to try to protect the town and the people he holds close to his heart. So season 2, I didn't really know what to think about. We come off after this is all season 2 is set after the Defenders, so you know we see that Danny is trying to protect New York, and we get some new people in as well, and we see Mary Walker, and she was scary, but she was a cool villain, but not really a villain. It was a bit of a weird one, but yeah, she was really good. But my favorite scene has to be that fight between Colleen and Davos. That's episode 13. So it starts off with Davos actually trying to take the rest of the Iron Fist's power from Colleen. And then Colleen takes the power from Davos with Dany's help. Then you actually get to see Colleen actually become the Fire Fist. I mean, I never saw that happening. I'm still a bit shocked, but at the end, I was thinking, I need to see more. I need to see what happened because Dany no more has to be the Iron Fist. He's free. He can be Dany Rand. He can do whatever he wants. But Colleen now is the Iron Fist, and we see that somewhere down hairline was the first first female Iron Fist. But yeah, it was a good show. Lots of martial arts scenes, which was really interesting to see. Lots of good characters. We get to see Joy Meacham. We get to see Ward Meacham, both brothers and sisters. I hated Ward at the beginning, and then I sort of started to like him. And yeah, I mean, we get to see Claire pop up as well, which is really good. Actually, what I really liked is we get to see Claire pop up in every single show. She didn't pop up in The Punisher, but she popped up in everything else. But yeah, really good show. Yeah. Now, if you want to see an Avengers sort of show team up or something, then you got to watch The Defenders. But before you watch The Defenders, you need to watch all of the other shows. But there is an order to watching it, which I'll put down in the comments or in the description box somewhere. I'll put it down. But yeah, honestly, I was screaming in so much of this show. Honestly, screaming. I had to pause it. Screaming. I had to pause it. Honestly, it was such a hype. I haven't felt that same feeling since, Endgame, Infinity War, all of those shows. And even then, saying that, I think I was even more excited. Maybe because I was watching it at home instead of the cinema, where I kind of have to control my reactions a little bit more. But honestly, so good. Really enjoyed it. So the plot. So it's set a few months after the events of Daredevil season 2, and a month after Iron Fist season 1. So we see Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist all join together to face a common enemy, the Hand, and protect New York. It was such a good meetup. I really liked seeing all of these different characters interact with each other. We get to see that Daredevil and Jessica Jones, interaction. We actually see that they kind of actually it was a good relationship, not like a romantic relationship, but like a friendly sort of relationship, and we actually get to see that all of them have something in common. They all are trying to fight for good. Saying that first meeting, season 1, episode 3, so good. So Rand visits the Midland Circle's office and gets into a fight with a Hand. And then Cage arrives to help Rand fight, soon followed by Jones and Daredevil, and then they're attacked by the Black Sky, who's also known as Elektra, but she's not really Elektra, who Daredevil fights for a while, and then Rand uses the Iron Fist on her. And it was just so much, honestly. I never thought we'd see that meetup then. Honestly, when Daredevil came in with Jessica Jones, I honestly had to pause it because honestly I was screaming so much. It was such a cool scene to see. Oh, I mean, talking about it, I'm getting so excited. I watched the scene a few days ago as well, just to see it again because sometimes I don't know about you, but I always seem to watch a few different scenes again and again, the ones that really you really loved. But yeah, it was such a good scene. I never thought they would meet up like that. I don't know how they would meet up. We do see that initially Luke Cage and Iron Fist meet up, and Luke Cage already knows Jessica Jones, but they haven't met up. And we see Daredevil and Jessica Jones meet up because Daredevil is Jessica Jones' lawyer. And there's so much happening. Honestly, if I wish there was a season 2 because I would have loved it. I would have loved to see the Punisher in it as well. And another scene that I really liked was when Matt reveals who he actually is. So that's episode 4. So they're all sitting in a Chinese restaurant, hiding away from the Hand. And then Matt reveals to Danny and Luke, because Jessica already has figured it out, that he's Daredevil. And he goes, he's like, I'm Daredevil. And they're like, excuse me? What? You're blind. How are you Daredevil? And they're just so shocked. They don't believe that he's actually Daredevil. Danny goes, what do you mean? You're Daredevil? Like, and it was so funny. Because, honestly, if I wasn't watching the shows, and I was in that same universe, a human being, I would never think he'd be the last person I would think would be Daredevil, because honestly, his senses are so awakened and he's such a good fighter. You're like, how could a blind man be such a good fighter? But yeah, I honestly, that's such a good scene. And then this is also another good scene. That fight between Daredevil and Iron Fist. So that's episode 6. And so Iron Fist is sort of, sorry, not Iron Fist, I probably should call him Danny, but Danny's sort of feeling like, he wants to leave. He doesn't want to stay in hiding. And everybody else wants to keep him in hiding because they know that that the Hand want the Iron Fist so that they can go, so that they can accomplish what they want. So we actually get a really good fight scene with Daredevil trying to stop Iron Fist from leaving. Luke Cage and Jessica Jones do actually help as well, but actually Daredevil versus Iron Fist actually really stood out. You would think that the immortal Iron Fist would be like really strong. He'd be so much more better than Daredevil. But actually, we actually see Daredevil's actually not too bad. He's actually holding his own against the immortal Iron Fist. I mean, how is that even possible? It doesn't really make sense. But it was such a good scene. I have to say, probably all of these favorite scenes were probably all of the ones that had Daredevil in it, and sue me, I really like Daredevil. But yeah, The Defenders was such a good show. The relationship between all of these superheroes, vigilantes, whatever you want to call them, it was really good. And then seeing Elektra come back, because I thought she died, but she didn't die. Seeing the Hand and the main people, just seeing how it all works together, it's really interesting. Last but not least, The Punisher. Now, I was really wary of watching this because I knew it was going to get really violent after seeing Daredevil season 2. But I was like, I've got to watch it. I really want to know more about Frank, because we actually do. Daredevil season 2 really does set up Frank, but I wanted to see more about him. So the plot is, after the murder of his family, Marine veteran Frank Castle becomes the vigilante known as the Punisher, with only one goal in mind: to avenge them. So season 1 is after the events of Daredevil season 2, and after getting revenge on those responsible for the death of his family, Frank uncovers a conspiracy which involves the death of his family. Frank must discover the truth and get justice for his family. He is a very complex character, very dark, but very complex character. And honestly, normally I would be like, no, do not get revenge. But I can honestly understand why he'd want revenge. He was betrayed by his own brother, not his actual brother, but someone he actually saw as a brother, Billy Russo. We can see how much that affects him when he learns the truth that actually Billy actually played a role in his family getting killed. He's devastated because his kids saw Billy as like an uncle. His wife, she liked Billy, like not as a romantic kind of thing, but just. And then it's honestly such a betrayal. I never saw that coming. Oh, but that goes to my favorite scene from season 1. So it's when Frank gets taken by Russo and tortured. So that's episode 12. So Frank gets taken by Russo at the swap and is held captive by Russo and Rawlins. And then Russo actually reveals to Frank that he actually knew of the plan to massacre Castle's family, and that he actually did nothing to prevent their death. Because all that time, I kind of did think, yeah, he did play some sort of role, but I just didn't know exactly like did he know about all of this? Did he not? And then, you know, find out that he actually did know that this was going to happen, and he did nothing to stop it. And then Castle was tortured by Russo and Rawlins, and then actually Russo sets Castle free so that he will kill Rawlins to get his revenge. And then Castle and Russo tried to kill each other. It was very dark. There was a lot of torture. There was a lot of blood. What I have to say about Frank, though, you know, the amount of times he gets shot or stabbed or whatever, he keeps going. There's nothing. It just shows, you know, that his only one goal, his only one objective is to get that revenge. And it's not really about revenge. It's just, you know, trying to find out that truth and just see like what actually happened, because he did not know that he was not aware that any of this had happened. Like at first he just thought, you know, it was just something that went wrong, and then he finds out that actually there was a reason for it, and then he finds out that actually he was the reason for it. And it was okay, let me move on to season 2. So Frank Castle tries to save a girl from being murdered and faces Billy again. I honestly didn't think we'd see Billy again. I thought he would just be in hospital from the end of season 1, but actually he's out on the streets again. We get 2 villains this time. We see Billy and we see John Pilgrim, controlled by the Schultz family. I feel like season 2 was a bit too much. I feel like we had too much going on. I feel like we didn't see enough of Pilgrim. We saw too much of Russo, which makes sense. But I feel like we should have maybe concluded with Russo first in season 2, and then season 3 should have brought in Pilgrim, because I felt like we didn't get enough. So 2 favorite scenes from this season. Lockville Sheriff's Department, that scene, episode 3, where the department is getting shot by Pilgrim's men. They keep on attacking the office, and then they finally let Frank free, because Frank is literally like, let me free, I can take them down, you know? And he can, he's invincible. There's nothing that stops him. And you actually see that literally as soon as he goes into that, he literally kills, and he goes through every single of Pilgrim's men like so quickly. It's a force. Scary, crazy, but you definitely want him on your side. Also, it's a bit of a weird scene that I liked, but it was just one of the characters that I really liked. Episode 7, when Russo robs the bank. So Russo and his men come into the bank to rob them, but then Lillian, the manager, honestly, she just stands her ground and she goes, no. She doesn't care that she was being threatened. Nothing that Russo says does anything. She's like, no, I am not going to let you rob this bank today. No. And actually, I feel like Russo was like really surprised, and he's kind of like, wow, this woman, she should be like scared. She'd be like, oh my god, I'm gonna get killed. But she literally just stands her ground. She's such a cool character. Yeah, I mean, we didn't even see her for too much, but she was a really good character. But yeah, the Punisher was, I'm surprised I actually enjoyed it. It was really dark, and I know I don't really like dark stuff. I mean, it was a surprise for me to actually watch any of the other shows. But then watching the Punisher, it was way darker. It was really good. Really did like it, you know. Okay, so actually, really enjoyed all of the Netflix Marvel shows. Just a few things I really actually wanted to see more of. I wanted to see more team ups. So we see, you know, the Defenders, they all come together. We see that Punisher and Daredevil, you know, they sort of team up, and you know, in Daredevil, and then we see Luke Cage and Iron Fist are a little bit teaming up. But I would have really liked to see more of these people popping up. I feel like in Iron Fist, if we had maybe a bit more of like Jessica Jones just popping up out of nowhere, Daredevil popping up out of nowhere, it would have been really cool, you know, to just actually see and watch. I mean, it wasn't really possible at that point, but I would have really actually liked to see the interaction with the MCU. All of these characters actually interacting in the MCU. I mean, we do get those little remarks like, oh yeah, I'm not like the big green guy, and you know, they're talking about the Battle of New York, they're talking about Hulk, but I actually would have really liked to see them interact. Like I can see Iron Fist interacting with Shang-Chi. It would work so well together. I would love to see the Punisher and Deadpool together. Yeah, hopefully sometime in the future. I know it will happen hopefully sometime soon, especially with No Way Home when we actually see Murdoch come in. But yeah, these are all such good shows, and if you haven't seen them, please go watch them. Make sure you watch them in the order again, because that is actually really important. Do not watch the whole show and then watch another one, and then that's not how you watch it. You have to watch it in a certain order.
My mistake.
Yeah, my mistake too. I watched Daredevil and then I was like, oh wait, I want to actually watch all the other shows, and then I watched the others in order. But yeah, you really do need to watch it in order to really understand what's really going on, especially in the Defenders. If you do not watch Iron Fist before, you'll be like, who on earth is this guy? Yeah, saying that, my rankings. So I'm gonna go best to worst. So it'll be Daredevil, The Defenders, Luke Cage, The Punisher, Jessica Jones, and Iron Fist. I mean, Grace, do you really have a ranking? Maybe like which one do you prefer, Jessica Jones or Daredevil?
Oh god, I can't pick between the two. I think those two are my favorite shows, my favorite characters in the Netflix Marvel TV shows. I definitely recommend it, though. Definitely.
Yeah. So Grace probably will watch the other shows soon at some point, and maybe we'll hear what Grace has to say at some point. Maybe a little part 2, which will be awesome, I think, because actually it's really interesting to hear what Grace said about like Jessica Jones and stuff. But yeah, that's all for today. Really hope you enjoyed this video. I honestly couldn't wait to give my thoughts about all of these shows, because it's amazing at how fast I watched some of it as well. I watched Luke Cage season 2 in just a day, which was crazy. But I think it just goes to show how much I really enjoyed it. But yeah, let us know down in the comments what other stuff you want to see us do. Maybe reacting to different TV shows that we watch, or maybe I don't know. I mean, me and Grace have watched the Aladdin TV show. So we'll do a reaction to that maybe or something. I feel like that'd be
maybe
quite
just
cool.
discuss about it. That would be interesting because no one really talks about it much, to be honest.
Yeah. But yeah, let us know down in the comments whatever you want to say. Which shows did you like? Which ones did you not? Or your favorites? What do you want to see more of? What were your favorite scenes? What were your favorite episodes? Whatever. But of course, please do not forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Hit that notification bell. Share.
And we'll see you soon.
Share.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll see you soon. Okay. Bye.
Bye.